And the Oscar goes to Interstellar. Paul?
Thank you to Chris Nolan and Emma Thomas for taking us on an amazing voyage across space and time.
But Interstellar never won that Oscar. Not for Best Picture, not for Best Director, not even for Best Soundtrack.
One of the most realistic science fiction films ever.
Franklin and everybody at Double Negative took Kip's mathematical data and they created real visual representations of what a black hole is meant to look like.
And that's what Interstellar got right from the beginning. It wasn't trying to look real, it was trying to be real.
If you're near a black hole, weird things go on, and they captured much of this in the film.
Realism wasn't just in the physics, it was in the emotion.
At its heart, it's a father-daughter relationship. It's a parent-child relationship.
The science mattered, but it only mattered because of what was at stake.
We felt this father's anguish and turmoil. My husband's going to kill me for saying this, but he cried.
So let's break down why Interstellar still moves people, even a decade later.
We're going to speak to director Chris Nolan and physicist Kip Thorne, who literally wrote the book on some of the physics behind the film.
Kip Thorne wasn't just some random scientist. He won a Nobel Prize 3 years later for his work on gravitational waves. He worked directly with Nolan to make sure the physics in the film weren't just believable, but as accurate as possible.
He really wants this, and I said, no, it won't fly. There's no way. The laws of physics forbid that. And we went back and forth for 2 weeks, and finally he threw in the towel.
To visualize the black hole, Thorne gave the VFX team real equations. They didn't guess how light bends around the black hole, they simulated it. The VFX team had to build new software just to handle the math. What they created was so accurate, it ended up in a scientific journal.
We're going to write several technical papers about this. One aimed at the astrophysics community, and then something for the computer graphics community.
This wasn't just a cool visual. It was the first time a movie had ever shown a black hole the way it would actually look.
Here are some things that we've discovered about gravitational lensing by rapidly spinning black holes that we never knew before.
But not every breakthrough was about what we could see. On Miller's planet, every 1.25 seconds you hear a tick, each one marking an entire day passing back on Earth. It's not just a sound effect, it's the weight of time slipping away.
7 years per hour here. Let's make it count.
The wave itself isn't just water, it's time rushing towards them, forcing them to waste precious minutes, and when you see it, you're seeing time crash down on them, stealing years from the people they love.
And how do you say goodbye? Without a guaranteed return ticket for where you're going, which is what happens to my man Cooper. And that part everybody will understand. If you're a parent, or we've all been children before, we've all had those goodbyes, and this is to the extreme.
The stakes aren't survival in that moment. The stakes are what they're losing elsewhere. That obsession with accuracy didn't stop with the science. Nolan also refused to film this like typical science fiction.
You know, we said, well, why don't we try and not use green screen? Let's try and fully realize these interiors of the spaceship so that, you know, Matthew and Anne, when they're sitting in the ship, they can look out the window and see what's actually out there. You know, we can have a reality to the thing, so it's not just a set. It's more of a, I suppose, a simulation.
The robots, for example, Lars and Case, were real physical puppets operated on set. The spaceship interiors weren't green screens.
No green screen. Yeah, Christopher Nolan, the director and writer, he builds all the sets. So as an actor, you don't have to play pretend.
And many of the exteriors, from icy worlds to dusty farms, were shot in real locations, like Iceland for Miller's Planet and Canada for the dust storms. The approach grounded the story in reality. Even when the science stretched into the realm of the impossible, the world around it felt authentic enough to believe in.
On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being very realistic, where would you place Interstellar on that scale?
I'd give it an 8 or 9 out of 10.
But all of this, science, the realism, the visual effects, would mean nothing if the story wasn't built on emotion. At its heart, Interstellar is about a father and a daughter. Everything Cooper does, every risk he takes, every impossible decision is driven by love.
Hey,
I love you forever. You hear me? I love you forever, and I'm coming back.
Nolan understood that love isn't just a subplot, it's the one thing powerful enough to drive someone to cross the galaxy.
I've got kids, Professor.
Get out there and save them.
It's me, Bert.
That's why the most talked about moments from Interstellar aren't action scenes, they're emotional gut punches, the 23 years of video messages, Murph's anger, the reunion on Cooper Station. Even the music was built on emotion first. When Hans Zimmer was approached to score the film, Nolan didn't tell him it was for a space epic. Instead, he gave Zimmer a single page of writing about the relationship between a father and a child.
And he would never tell me what the movie was about. So this letter arrived, and there's this beautiful story about what it meant to be a father.
Zimmer composed a piece based purely on that feeling, and that became the foundation of the entire soundtrack. That's why the score doesn't just accompany the film, it feels like part of its heartbeat. A decade later, Interstellar still resonates because it doesn't belong to just one genre. It's a science fiction film, it's drama, it's a human story.
I've written this tiny, tiny little thing, you know, this really fragile, personal thing. And he goes, yeah, I know where the heart of the movie is now.